Hey, guess what? This recipe comes with a warning. So if you're looking for a sweet green smoothie bowl, this is not the recipe for you. Stop watching the video. Actually, no, they're in. If you keep watching, I've got a variation I can share with you at the end to how to turn this into a sweet smoothie bowl. But this one's actually an incredibly easy um, savory green smoothie bowl. So if you're up for that, you're in the right place. But before we jump into the kitchen, I am going to share with you after the recipe. I'll share with you the story behind the recipe, like how I came up with this idea. But and I also need to introduce myself. So my name's Jules Clancy. I'm used to be a food scientist. I'm a huge food lover. I live in Australia, and now I'm a cooking coach. So I really help people with just making cooking as simple as possible. So most of my recipes, I call them my 3 ingredient magic meals. So they use 3+ ingredients. So 3 plus 1 or 2 occasionally. Sometimes it's just a 3. So yeah, let's jump into the kitchen and I'll show you how to make this amazing green smoothie bowl. So easy green smoothie bowl, just got some frozen spinach in my bowl, covering with boiling water. I'm just gonna let it stand for a few minutes to defrost the spinach. This is seriously my favorite lunch at the moment. So after the spinach is defrosted, I've just drained and squeezed out most of the extra liquid, and then we just want some yogurt, and it's up to you. I usually use just like a couple of generous tablespoons of yogurt, but you can make it more or less yogurty depending on how creamy you want it. And I'm just using homemade regular yogurt, Greek yogurt style yogurt, but yeah, you could use coconut or any dairy-free yogurt if you prefer. Just don't want something that's going to be super sweet, because that would, well, you could go sweet, I guess, if you wanted to. So yeah, we just give that a stir, a bit of salt in. So you want some cooked protein. I'm going to use, this is some rainbow trout that I roasted last week, but you could use eggs here. Boiled eggs, poached eggs are really lovely with this combo, leftover chicken. Chickpeas are amazing with this combo, or lentils. And then we want something to finish it off. Actually, there's a bone. Let's get that bone out. There's another bone. Okay, we could be here forever getting bones out. So then we want something to, bring it all together. So today I'm going to use sumac, which is this beautiful Lebanese or Middle Eastern spice that like a berry. I think this is they grind up the skins of the berry, and it has this just amazing lemony fragrance. And the other reason I love it is because it has this beautiful color as well. But you could just use black pepper if you wanted to, or some curry powder sprinkled over can be really nice, or everything bagel seasoning, a seasoning could be good. Or you could go for some texture, so some roast almonds or roast cashews. Or if you like a bit of sweetness, I really love some dried cranberries chopped over, or dried apricots. So good. I love playing around with this savory yogurt bowl, spinach yogurt bowl. As I'm eating it, I often will go back and add in just an extra dollop of yogurt and just mix it through. Yum. And also some more sumac. Just so comforting and so good. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that. Now, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more amazing magic meals with not many ingredients. And actually, as I promised you the story behind this recipe. So with this one, I don't know if like my mom used to make when I was little, this, like when we were entertaining, when she was entertaining, she'd make this cob loaf dip. And so she'd get a loaf of bread, like one of those round loaf cob loaves, and then cut it out and pull the innards out of it to make this like bread bowl. And then she'd make this dip with sour cream and French onion soup and magic ingredient, frozen spinach. And I used to that dip, I loved it so much. That was so savory. It was so good. And I was thinking about that. And I was like, man, I could just make that as a bowl for lunch. I was like, okay, but I probably don't want to be eating that much sour cream as a whole meal. And so I was like, oh, what if I use some Greek yogurt? Because it's going to be like a bit lighter, a bit easier. on the digestive system. And yeah, and so I did, and I was just like, oh my God, it's so delicious. So that's how this story came about. And I like, it was one of those things that as soon as I made it, I just like the next day I was like, oh, I think I want to have the green smoothie bowl for lunch again. I think I'm going to have the green smoothie bowl. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if it was lunchtime, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll just defrost some spinach and make a green smoothie bowl. Like I love it that much. So that's the story behind this recipe. And the other unique thing about my recipes, apart from that they're extremely simple, is that I always include variations because you may not have an ingredient, or if you've got different dietary requirements that you need to take care of. So for you and whoever you're cooking for. So yeah, if you're looking for different flavor bomb ideas, like roast nuts are amazing, particularly pistachios or pine nuts if you really want to make it feel really luxe. Roast seeds can be lovely as well. Dried fruit is really good. I think the first time I made this, I used dried cranberries and pistachios, roast pistachios. It was like had a bit of a Christmassy vibe. It was a business. You can use a seasoning like a everything bagel seasoning or some chili flakes or chili powder. I often like just some spice as well can be really lovely here. So just some ground cumin with some salt or some ground coriander with salt. Sumac that I've used in the photo for this recipe, and I use that in the video, which is a Middle Eastern spice. Has this really beautiful lemony flavor, goes really well with the kind of yogurt and green spinach thing. But really, any or all of the above, like you can take it in any direction you like. And the other thing that can work really well here is like fresh herbs. So if you've got some basil or mint, like that can really elevate and give you those nice like fresh aromatics. And then the other option that you could take it in kind of a Japanese vibe, if you've got some like seaweed chips or wasabi peas, like just to give you that crunch and give you some like amazing umami flavors. Oh, and I promised you, if you did want to turn it into a sweet bowl, what you can do is for your protein, just use protein powder and stir that in with the yogurt and spinach. Or if you're doing a sweet one, some eggs can work okay in there, like just chopped up boiled eggs. And you can also use like the type of yogurt you can use. You could use a flavored yogurt if you like, or you can still use the Greek yogurt, but use some sweet flavor bombs. So things like fresh fruit, of course, berries will work really here. Like any fruit that you have is going to be delicious with this, or dry, fresh or dried. And if you are making a sweet one, I'd also consider adding some nuts to give it that crunch, like some almonds or peanuts, or even like a drizzle of tahini or some peanut butter. Just that can really take it to the next level. And disguise the greenness from the spinach. In terms of like different vegetables, if you didn't happen to have frozen spinach, like any frozen or cooked greens will work. So if you've got fresh spinach in the garden, or you bought fresh spinach, you could just cook that down and then finally chop it and then squeeze out the extra moisture and use it in the same way. And the other thing that I'm looking forward to when my cucumbers are growing is slicing up some cucumber and chopping that in. But you can add in any vegetables that you happen to have in the house. You can add them into this base, and it'll just add that extra dimension. If you're looking for plant-based, if you're vegan, or if you need to be dairy-free, of course, your favorite dairy-free yogurt is going to work here. The other options that I would consider, I actually make my own cashew yogurt from time to time, even though I'm not dairy free. So if you want the recipe for that, check out the link to the recipe page on my blog. And if you just, it'll have the link to the cashew yogurt recipe in there. And also the other option is I make I call it macadamia ricotta. So using macadamia nuts, and that can work well in this bowl as well. The other option is like just coconut cream out of the can. That will give you that creaminess. And if you want to make it a bit fresher, you could add a squeeze of lime or squeeze of lemon to it. Oh, and actually tahini works really well too. So if you wanted to use tahini and a little bit of water, or don't squeeze out the spinach so much, so you get that lovely creaminess from the tahini, like that's really good. Protein options, any cooked protein that you like will work here. I've used fish, but eggs work incredibly well, or cooked chicken. If you're vegetarian, amazing with cooked chickpeas or lentils, go really well with this combo. If you want to make it more substantial, of course. You could serve it in a cob loaf if you're loving the bread. If you wanted to keep it low carb and you want to make it more substantial, I'd recommend just increasing the amount of protein is going to make it more substantial, or using a more substantial flavor bomb, like using roast walnuts or and using upping the nuts. Some avocado smashed into it will, of course, make it feel more substantial. If it was winter time and you wanted to, wherever you are, and you wanted to have it as a warm bowl, you could easily just warm the spinach up before stirring in the yogurt, and that'll give you that, like, and also using warm protein, cooked protein is going to give you that, like, a really lovely warm, creamy, kind of almost soupy vibe. And oh yeah, and if you do happen to have canned spinach in the pantry, like, that will work too. Surprise, surprise. I know. I wish I could buy canned spinach here in Australia, but if you are lucky enough to have canned spinach, it's something you could keep in the pantry. And the other variation that you might like to consider, if you want like a really decadent, is to actually use the sour cream instead of using yogurt, so you get that extra richness. In terms of like making this ahead of time, you can. I think it's kind of nicer when it's freshly made though. But if you've got leftovers, like, they'll keep in the fridge for a week or longer. And if you make this and you're like feeling like, oh, it's not quite right, definitely a little bit of salt is going to work magic. Like, there's been a few times where I haven't really added a lot of salt with my flavor bombs, and then I've been, oh, not quite as good. And just, yeah, it's a pinch of sea salt flakes really elevated and took it back. The other option you might like to try is like a squeeze of lemon or lime if it's feeling a bit flat, just to lift it up. So that's it for today. And questions. So if you've got any questions, or if you've got a dietary requirement I haven't covered, or if you're just excited about green smoothie bowls, I would love to hear from you. So just leave a comment below and yeah, let me know your thoughts. And I check the comments every day and I will get back to you. Okay. Have a beautiful day, week, month, and I'll see you next time.